But let's just say that switching your body completely over to a SARM is going to yield virtually no DHT level because the natural testosterone is being choked out, as well as no estrogen. What is up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Today's ASMR sip is some Polar sparkling water. ASMR spritz. Intelligent neon. You gotta buy it to smell it. Oh, these are weak. There we go. All right, today I'm going to be going into SARMs, shrinking your penis. So I'm going against all the SARM propaganda going around. There's been a ton of misinformation about SARMs and or the old heads of bodybuilding trying to stamp out SARMs. And over on this channel, I am not pro SARMs or pro steroids. I just think of everything as a synthetic androgen. And there are, in quotation marks, exotic, in quotation marks, super toxic steroids and SARMs, and at the end of the day, they're all synthetic androgens. However, there are some differences of SARMs that I would like to discuss in the SARM goblin era. SARM goblin era meaning the TikTok trend of SARMs are like over-the-counter supplements, similar to how the pro-hormone days were, besides pro-hormones like causing dramatic liver failure and multiple deaths with Superdrol. We haven't really seen that with SARMs, showcasing a better safety profile, in my opinion, considering all these little twerps who are afraid to inject anything. You know, they're just sticking to SARMs and then clomiphene. I wanted to just break down one of the big things I see with SARMs that I've already done in the past, but I wanted to paint it like this as far as penis enlargement goes. So if you guys are just stopping in, please subscribe, click the like and hit the bell, and then go check out my playlist where you can see my penis enlargement playlist. I talk about how I went from, you know, around a 6 average to over 8. And then I also talk about my chemical castration, so there's tons of good content in there. Where do SARMs slot in? SARMs could fuck up your puberty if you cause shutdown as a tween teen doing the SARM goblin bullshit with no understanding of biochem pharmacology behind your belt, right? That's what's going on, is that a SARM is super suppressive. These ones that are being touted around on the internet as side effect free, aka RID140 and LGD4033. These are significantly powerful synthetic androgens that can fully flatline the HPTA relatively easily. And when we watch the TikTok educators, we can see that, oh, you don't need a PCT with SARMs, blah, blah, blah. Let's go into what happens when, again, I've had this situation. I'm going to tell you how, you know, I came to this conclusion on making this video with a personal story. You are replacing your entire body with the SARM. Okay, cool. The SARM doesn't convert to estrogen or DHT. Dihydrotestosterone needed for penile development, the central nervous system, fast twitch firing, and overall brain neurochemistry is around DHT being the baseline, most powerful male androgen floating around in the body. You can switch the body onto different androgens. I've talked in the past year over the problems of switching your body over to, let's say, SARMs-Only, let's say nandrolone, dihydronandrolone only, and androgen receptor remapping. I'm not going to go into that advanced level, but let's just say that switching your body completely over to a SARM is going to yield virtually no DHT level because the natural testosterone is being choked out, as well as no estrogen. If you have all this education, this can be offset, but most of these kids do not. They do one cycle of RAD, LGD, they do no PCT after, and then they go the rest of their puberty with a fucked up HPTA because the feedback loops are fucked up, meaning the estrogen feedback loop might not be restarting because there was no post-cycle therapy introduced to clean out these feedback loops to try to restart the HPTA, thus resulting in a crushed natural testosterone level, thus resulting in a crushed dihydrotestosterone level, which is very important for penile development and size, which starts around 15-ish years old and continues until you're 25. This is what you need to take into consideration when using abusing performance enhancing drugs, especially synthetic androgens in your younger years, that you need to recover your biomarkers. If something is fucked up, you actually have to do something about it and start intervening and start fiddling around. And if you don't have the education to do that, well, some biohacker in this niche is more than willing going to take your money, but you're going to be paying out the ass for them to fix it when all the baseline information exists on this channel for free and other channels for free. So you are making an investment into this knowledge if you're going to fuck around with all your biomarkers. And the SARMs especially seems to be floating under the rug because people say they're not that powerful. This is false. Most of them are extremely powerful. Inject LGD 4033, insanity. S23, insanity. RAD 140, RAD 150, insanity. These are extremely powerful synthetic androgens that need actual intervention after the cycle to try to turn the HPTA back on, restore the negative feedback loops, and continue having high natural testosterone, which yields high natural DHT within range and yields high natural estrogen within range, which is extremely important for growth plates fusing, right, the estrogen level, and then dihydrotestosterone for male characteristics, secondhand sex characteristics. That is very critical during these years of pubescence. You can start fiddling around with putting your body on all these different androgens and making the main androgen different after the secondary, primary puberty sexual characteristics take into effect, meaning I would keep my DHT within above range during the ages of 16 to 25. If you want to mess around and switch your body completely onto different androgens after that, just know that you pretty much completed secondary male puberty and these secondary sexual characteristics are developed right. How does this slot into the TikTok world of SARMs? Well, if you're on SARMs only for extended periods of time, you have extremely low dihydrotestosterone levels, almost zero, depending on if you're using a testosterone base. How many times have I brought up testosterone base? You need a testosterone base with SARMs, preferably HCG. I do see a lot of mitigation from other educators, and by all means follow whichever educator you want. If you think I'm the dumbass, then leave this channel and go follow someone else. But with me, I've seen enclomiphene touted around as the base of choice. I'll have Andrew throw up the video where I bash enclomiphene only because of the IGF-1 decreases. As a performance-based athlete, we want to keep IGF high as possible. I've got tons of DMs of people removing enclomiphene and getting much better bubbly muscle look from higher IGF, better recovery, better skin. They look less flat, they look fuller on their cycles. They took the enclomiphene out, they noticed the IGF-1 bump right off the bat. Can that be offset by adding in a peptide to increase IGF-1? Yes. The main thing we need to keep into consideration is you want natural testosterone in there as a base to cause that primary androgen dihydrotestosterone to stay there. Because the SARM is so competitive against DHT, it's going to shut it off unless we're manually keeping it turned on. What's the preferred way to keep it manually turned on? Well, inject exogenous testosterone would be the first thing. Second thing would be an add HCG or HMG to keep neurosteroid cascades connected to the penis, aka maintain the fertility testicle to brain connection the entire time, despite the SARMs occupying all the systemic androgen receptors in your body. We can override this by adding an HCG, and you can get the benefits of the SARM for longer periods of time, aka I am the original SARM goblin. It is unquestionable. When I would do RAD 140 only, I have the transformation. I'll have Andrew link it in the description and put it up. That was 7 weeks of RAD 140. Why was it only 7 weeks? My testosterone went to zero. My dihydrotestosterone was crash. My estrogen was crash. By week 7, I had to get off. I did 4 weeks, 5 weeks of extremely high dosage clomiphene. Way higher than the dosages you see on the internet, and I'm not going to shout the dosage out because it comes with its own set of risk factors. Point being, I did a real PCT and restored my testosterone, which restored my dihydrotestosterone, which restored my estrogen. I felt immediately better after. The reason I made this video is I had a kid come up to me in Powerhouse, Pittsburgh, who did one single RAD 140 cycle, did no PCT after, has been suffering chronic low T for over a year because these feedback loops are messed up. I have recently recovered him with HCG and enclomiphene and some Nolvadex to choke out that estrogen. He's back on track, feels amazing. Sexual vigor is back. That was one single cycle of RAD 140 that if he left that continuously in that bad crash of coming off that synthetic androgen that's so powerful that it competes against dihydrotestosterone, which is R8140, which is, whether you like it or not, heavily used around the world. If he let that go, never got his blood work done, never came to someone like me to recover it, he would have went through all his mid-20s with that fucked up DHT level, which would fuck up his secondary sex characteristics of puberty. This is what I wanted to get out there, right? I've already harped and harped. Andrew's fucking cracking up behind the camera, my little schizophrenic cameraman, that I have said testosterone base so many times. So many other biohackers say, oh, you want to do SARMs? What's your base under that? I have personally documented SARMs-Only to see what the fuck happened when I switched my body over to complete SARMs. It results in a complete crash of estrogen, normally around week 6, which is also a complete crash of testosterone and dihydrotestosterone. You can run your body on different androgens. The overall androgenic level is going to really correlate with the neurochemical speed of the central nervous system. So keep that into consideration. The main takeaway you should take from this video is you gotta do HCG constantly. If you're gonna do all this fucking shit, maintain the testicle to brain connection. I've seen even the most advanced brains ruin their fertility by skipping over that HCG payment that I've been making since I've been 18 years old, right? I've always been doing HCG. That was one of my first pins, is I knew how important it was to constantly trickle HCG and HMG during all this shit to maintain my testicle to brain connection. When you add in a SARM that's just as powerful as dihydrotestosterone at the androgen receptor and fuck up your whole HPTA and take no PCT after, you are going to suffer the low dihydrotestosterone level, the low estrogen level, which could impact your secondary sex characteristics as a male, thus resulting in your dick not being as big as it could have been. And Russo wants you to have a big ass hog over here. Russo wants you to be the bull. We're not about shrinking dicks over here. We're about growing dicks. And I would definitely recommend putting in some sort of testosterone base or HCG, HMG, and clomiphene minimum under any SARM cycle at this point. Okay? I told you about my little SARM-Only experiments. LGD, 4 or 5 weeks I got those results. Then I suppressed myself fully down how to get off. RID, I pushed to 7 weeks. I felt like shit on the 6th week. I started putting testosterone under it. You started to see the blossoming effect of SARM's hybrid cycles, which is like 300, 400 tests and then blast a SARM. That's where it's going. SARMs-Only stuff is gonna result in almost full HPTA shutdown in most of these compounds, right? Am I talking about S4, Ostrine, ACP 105, AC262 in low dosages like how the medical data wants you to take them? No. I'm talking about how the TikTokers are taking them, blasting RAD 140, RAD 150, blasting LGD 43, blasting S23. These are all going to result of flat lines of the HPTA, and we have to use things to offset recover it. If you don't recover it, your dick will be smaller than if you never did anything. I will see you guys in my next video.